Hey, and welcome to my video about the unanswered questions of Life is Strange after playing the last episode. In the following I will name all the questions that came to my mind with a number, so that you can tell me about your thoughts in the comments and add new questions yourself. Of course I will try to answer some of these questions by my own assumptions and theories, so have fun! 1. Where does Max get her powers if she's punished when using them? 2. From where does Max get her powers? I made a theory about Rachel transferring her powers to Max, and episode 5 didn't refute any of my conclusions, so that's still my explanation. 3. Does she still have her powers after Chloe died when choosing sacrifice Chloe? I think so, because there are no hints against it, but Max wouldn't use them anymore because she saw what it did to the people she loves, especially Chloe. 4. If the tornado showed up because of Max using her powers, why did Max have the vision of the tornado before she received her powers? It could have first been some kind of foreshadowing that only came true if Max really used her powers. When Max did use her powers, the vision became more concrete, like when she reads the date in the newspaper or sees the deer. 5. Wouldn't have Max been able to save Chloe in the bathroom at the end, again without using her powers? I think so, because now she would have known what to do without rewinding. But maybe this ending was too easy for the developers and wouldn't contain the message of destiny and of having to live with your choices. 6. Why does the tornado still exist in the alternate reality when David saves Max and Chloe's dead? If she's the reason for the coming tornado, there shouldn't be a tornado anymore. 7. Are there any survivors at the end if you choose to sacrifice Acadia Bay? I believe so. We can see that the two whales diner was still there, and in the alternate reality, Joyce, Warren, Frank and another man spent their time during the tornado there, so they might have survived. Furthermore, the homeless woman left her usual place if you warned her and got away safely, we can assume. David and some other police officers were in the bunker to convict Jefferson, so they must have survived too. 8. What happened to the other girls on the darkroom folders? Did Jefferson kill some of them, or how could he make them tell nothing about his dark secret, although there were so many of them? As we know, it was an accident that Rachel died, and I don't believe that every girl on the folder committed suicide like Kate tried. On the folders we can also see the name Megan, which seemed to be Chloe's best friend in the alternate reality before the car accident. In the alternate reality, Rachel was still missing, that's why I believe that the actions of Jefferson and Nathan were pretty the same. And Megan is alive in this reality. That's a hint that they weren't into killing girls, although Jefferson doesn't have any inhibitions towards killing, as he easily killed Nathan, Chloe and tried to kill Max. So maybe they just did a good job of keeping their business secret, or most of the girls were too insecure to talk to the police like Kate was in episode 2. 9. How did he get into business with Nathan? He couldn't have just asked him if he likes to drug and photograph girls. 10. Does Sean Prescott know about the secret behind the darkroom as he built it up? Jefferson makes a subtle comment about it.
I do know that the Prescotts are going to have a major scandal when the town finds out what their elite son has been doing for homework.
His statement is remarkable for me because he states that the town will find out about his secret, and he doesn't mention his parents, maybe hinting at the fact that they know about it. I could imagine that because his father is paying for the photo equipment and the bunker itself, so it would be easy to combine the facts. Furthermore, he could know about it but doesn't say anything and doesn't care either because nobody found out yet. In an email he wrote to his son, we can also see that he wants him to hold back his aggression and misbehavior to build up Penn Estates without disturbance. It's often said that the Prescotts are evil, showing that Sean Prescott wouldn't do anything against Nathan's disturbing business. 11. Why does Nathan keep the document from his father in his dorm room, saying that Nathan is the best son ever if he only talks about him being an asshole? I think it's because of Nathan's psychological problems. He wanted to be accepted and supported by his father. That's why he clings to the concept that he might someday be a good father. But at the same time, he hates his father for not being there for him and only caring about his business. 12. From where did he get the gun? As David has a weapon cabinet and was a veteran, he has access to guns and could be the one who delivered Nathan. When you talk to him about Penn Estates, he also says that he made an estimate for them because of personal reasons. Furthermore, Nathan knows that Max was in the girls' room too, even if you don't tell the principal that he was there with a gun. But David saw Max coming out of the girls' room, so he must have told Nathan. That is also a vague answer for the next question. 13. What was the kind of business Nathan and David did together? In episode 2, we see the both talking on the campus, and David is the only one next to Nathan and Jefferson who seems to know about the coming storm because of his food supplies. So they must have done each other a favor or something like that, as David is one of the only persons who doesn't talk badly about the Prescotts. 14. Why does David have this immense number of food and reads a book about surviving the apocalypse in the 21st century? As I said, Nathan and David both stock up their food supplies, so maybe David was told by Nathan that something terrible is about to happen, although there are no clues about why Nathan should know about it. But it would be more realistic that he knows about it because his family is influential and has connections to many sides. 15. What about Samuel's comments about Rachel not wanting to be found? 16. Why does he own women's magazines and a silk scarf that he would never wear? He also got a missing persons poster of Rachel Amber and pictures of her. Why? I can't think of Samuel as an evil or bad person. Maybe he was friends with Rachel, or somebody else tried to make him look suspicious because his little room was accessible to everyone, as Mac's comments strikingly.
Samuel really should keep this locked. It's a waiting accident.
17. Why did Nathan lie drugged beneath Rachel Amber, moments before she was buried? We know that Nathan killed Rachel by mistake because he gave her an overdose. He could have been really sad about it because he doesn't want to hurt anybody, as he says in his last message in episode 5. So maybe he tried to forget the terrible thing he has done by drugging himself. 18. Did Rachel really love Frank, or did she use him to get drugs easily? 19. Was Kate somehow involved with Frank, as we see her in the list of his clients? 20. Who wrote the message in a junkyard in episode 4, and for what purpose? The red writing reminds of the paint Nathan used on Mac's dorm room wall, and the only persons who went to the junkyard that we know about are Frank, Chloe, Max, Rachel, Nathan, and Jefferson. If you exclude the ones who don't make sense in this context, Nathan and Jefferson remain. First I thought the message would be a threat, but if you look at it from another perspective, it could also be a warning. That's why I believe that Nathan could have written this message for Max and Chloe to protect them from Jefferson. 21. What do the footprints at the end of episode 4 mean, and whose are they? I don't really know to whom they could belong, but the only persons who we saw owning paint utensils are David and Samuel. 22. Where does Max find herself in Jefferson's lesson again after rewinding for the first time? When she rewinds, she remains at the place she stood before time traveling. That's the way how many puzzles in the game are solved. 23. What about the gas station where Nathan and Jefferson were on the day Kate was drugged? The analysis of the GPS tracking of David results in the fact that Nathan and Jefferson were at the gas station at the night of the Vortex Club party where Kate has been drugged. By listening to her descriptions, it must have been the darkroom, where her pictures are also found by Chloe and Max later. But the GPS data clearly states that Nathan and Jefferson had been at the gas station. So was it just a mistake in the game? 24. Who's Twilight Zone, the person David also tracked? 25. Why does Principal Wells drink? He's the principal of a big school that is mainly funded by the Prescotts, who apply pressure by threatening. After the disappearance of Rachel Amber, I could imagine many parents storming into his office, expressing their fears about the safety at their school. So he probably tries to forget his problems and stress by drinking. 26. For what reason did Chloe need to borrow $3,000? And for what did she spend it? I don't have a clue about this one. Chloe said that she borrowed the money so that Rachel and she could quit Acadia Bay, but she was already missing for months, so I can't really believe her. She didn't buy drugs either, or did the repairs on her car, so where did the money go? 27.
Kate had a double
What did
life.
Nathan mean when talking about Kate's double life? 28. What was the content of the card Jefferson sent to Kate when she survived and is in the hospital? 29. What is the meaning of the 3 deer that appear in the Sacrifice Acadia Bay ending? I believe that it is a reference to the spirit animals, but I don't understand why there are 3 of them. Rachel's, Max and William's spirit animal could be the deer. As Rachel appears as the ghost deer, Max always wears deer shirts, and the snow globe with the deer at Chloe's house belongs to William. But William and Rachel are dead and Max is alive, so where's the connection? Maybe the deer are also some kind of symbol for hope. We see that Acadia Bay is covered in rubble, but there are still living animals that remain, so it could hint at the possibility that also other people survived the storm. 30. When you warned Victoria about the dark room and she believed you, she's there too at the beginning of episode 5. But how could Jefferson have managed to first hold a speech, kidnap her, and arrive at the junkyard in time to kill Chloe and drug Max? 31. Why didn't Nathan sign Kate's wish card when she's in the hospital? I think that he finally starts to think about his behavior after her suicide attempt and was too ashamed of what he did to sign the wish card. 32. To whom was Jefferson talking to on the phone during episode 2? For sure it couldn't be Nathan, since he was sitting on Meg's table with Victoria and wasn't talking to somebody on the phone. Jefferson considered it as an important call, so maybe he even talked to Nathan's father. 32. What is the point of saving Alyssa? At last, there's no real point of saving Alyssa, I think, and it was meant to be just a funny gimmick. But there's an awesome theory about her knowing the future. That's why she tests Max and is confused that the things she sees never happen. Just click the link. 34. Whose note was it that said, "I want to die" in the junkyard? I think it could be rather Rachel's one, but there's also the possibility that Chloe might have written it, because she has gone through much since her father died. But it is more realistic that it's Rachel's note, because lately before her disappearance she seemed to have been worried, as the homeless woman states. 35. What was the consequence of Meg's immense photo time travel in the last episode? She had several nosebleeds, but that seems to be a really light consequence compared to the one of her time travel to save Chloe's father. After that, there were dying whales everywhere. But maybe the nightmare was also some kind of consequence of Meg's misuse of her powers. It's only confusing for me that all the other big consequences were visible for everyone in Acadia Bay too. 36. What was the thing that Frank did and scared Rachel? 37. Who's the homeless woman? 38. Why don't Nathan's parents want to support his therapy and help him? First, because they're too busy with their business, and second, because they don't seem to care much about Nathan. They try to buy his support for their own profit and think that they don't have to deal with his emotional problems if they pay a therapist for it. 39. What happened to Kate's bunny? And Lisa the plant? That's it. Of course, the last question was the most important one. I love to hear about your thoughts, so that we can clear things up together. Thanks for watching. See you next time.